Guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a subject, there's no Livescope footage, no Livescope screens. This is purely based on a personal opinion of all the tests I've done, all the things I've done, and I'm going to tell you right now. One of the things that gets asked to me constantly, what is the best software program? And you know me, I always update because I want to check it out. I want to be able to tell you guys it's good or bad, or if it changes anything or anything like that. But I believe, in my opinion, before I say what it is, I want to tell you why I think updates get worse and worse and worse. Too many times when you first get something, and I'll use a vehicle for this example. When you get a nice vehicle, or you get your first vehicle, you're just happy to have a vehicle. Then, after a little while, that first vehicle, it's not so cool anymore, because then you start to notice every little flaw in it. When you first get a vehicle, that thing can have 4-ball tires and the brakes don't work and the transmission slips and the radio don't pick up. You don't care. You're just happy to have a vehicle. But then you start to pick out those small details, those small things that don't work, those small things that drive you nuts, or you want something better. I believe that's what's happened to Livescope. When we first got it, everybody just amazed at what we saw. You know, your fish swimming, you could see your bait, you could see vegetation, and with some time and some work and learning, you got really good at it. But kind of a victim of its own success, you started to see the flaws. The ghost trees and things like that. And I've heard so many people, well, it happened when the perspective mode was released. It happened this, it happened that. I went back and looked at my very first videos, very first videos, and trust me, I look like an idiot on those first videos. Matter of fact, on the very first video, man, I swore it was a big old bass. I think I fished for 15 minutes, and now I look back and I go, God, I was fishing for a carp or a buffalo in this area. Boy, I look like an idiot. So don't think anybody else is gonna, feel weird because of that. But as we have got better with Livescope, we demand more. You start to notice some people might have a lag. You might notice the ghost tree artifacts in there, and you're wanting more and more and more and more crisp pictures. The 34 came out. It is greatly improved over the 32. Just like the 32 was over the PS22. Greatly improved. But we are starting to always, and you nitpick, and you find this little problem, and people call in, and you get on these pages, and you post, what's the problem with this, what's the problem with that, and everybody starts calling Garmin. The thing is, those problems were always there. It's just when people started noticing them, then you start noticing them, and you call in to get them fixed. And as you fix one problem, you always create another. It's a fact. If you fix a hydraulic hose on a machine, it will find the weak spot in another hose and blow another hose. And a lot of times you'll create a chain of hydraulic hoses that blew. Trust me, I work in logging. It happens all the time. We hate changing hoses in the summertime because it starts to literally run in a circle. You start blowing hose, and they're all in a line because it finds that weak spot. And I think as you create better programs that fix problems people call in for, they'll fix a problem, it creates another problem. For example, on the 32 and these latest software updates, what I noticed was on the bottom especially was a pixeling effect, a pixel effect. The bottoms weren't real crisp. They had like almost a pixely, almost like an Atari look to them. And as that happens, you start to notice it more. I noticed it with each update, but the updates were good, and they had some great things that you could do with them. Using the force to be able to use it as a heading sensor. Those are great things, and using the trolling motor with the power pole integration, amazing things. But with the advent of certain other things, you start to get problems created in certain areas. So I went back and I took some time. The earliest update that is compatible with the 34 in the GPS series, and I have to check on this in the Echo Map series, is the 26.1, 26.2 update, which is the 2.57 black box update. at 2.57, they made it compatible with the 34. That's when the 34 came on. That's almost 2 years now. That's when it came about. So that update, to me, of all the tests I've done, and I've got every one of them on my computer. I sell any of them you want to me. I sold 5 or 6 to one guy. He wanted to have them all, and whatever, I sold them all to him. When I've done all the testing, I truly believe the 26.2, 2.57 is the best update for the 34. Now, understand, if you go back to that, you do not have some of the newer capabilities, and that can hinder you. If you want to put it on your trolling motor and use your trolling motor's heading sensor, you can't do that with the 26.2 and the 2.57 update. So, but in my opinion, the 26.2, it had the most crisp bottom. It had the best detail. I think that there was the stitching was the best on that one. I think beautiful stitching, easy to set the focus on that, and that's what focus is for, to be able to stitch those six beams together. And I'm going to let you know something. I have forever stated that there's 5 beams. I don't know why I stated that. I don't know if it was something that I first looked at and first read. It is 6 beams. There are 6 equal beams, 3 on each side of the center line. I believe they're about 22.5 degrees, something like that. 22 degrees. 22 and a half. I think it's 22 and a half, something like that. 22. I don't know. I have to do the math again. 135 divided by 6 is 20, 15, 27. Let's see. Divided by 6, it'll be 22, 22 and a half, somewhere in that area. So the beams, 6 different, and you stitch those together using focus. Focus allows you to line those images up, because those 6 beams are sending the information back to the black box, and the computer has to line them up. It never lines them up perfect. It's never going to line them up perfect. Now, if you had one big beam, you would have problems there, and I know a lot of people say, why don't they just create one big beam? And for some of that, I do ask that question, and I understand some of it, and that's a whole different video, but the focus allows it to do that. And I know it's a lot easier to get the stitching to line up beautifully on the 26.2 and the 2.57. So that's my opinion on what is the best one. Right now, I'm still working on getting you a video out on the 2 side-by-side forwards. I'm working hard to see, there's going to be 2 or 3 different ways we can do this on that video. And I'll explain in the videos coming up of how we can use 2. You can use 2 set off at an angle like this where they don't intersect. You can use 2 that are very close where they kind of overlap, and you've got to use your filtering to get some of that flickering out. You can use them in the perspective forward mode, which I've been doing for some time. I've got some videos on that. So there's about 3 different ways you can do it. And you can also, you can take 2 in perspective when it's that time of year, that shallow water bite. That would be excellent. That shallow water bite, taking them and turning them outwards to that 135 degrees. I'm going to show you how to do all of that. I think it's going to be a very fun series on this. It's going to be a 4-part series. I'm going to do 4 parts on that. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, 2 forwards close, 2 forwards split a little wider, 1 on the trolling motor, 1 on the pole, perspective forward, maybe even do 5 here, and then 2 perspectives. We're going to do that. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. 26.2, 2.57. Ring the bell.